Section 1 of Pierre and Luce by Romain Rolland. Translated by Charles Decay. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Roger Melin. Pierre and Luce by Romain Rolland. Translated by Charles Decay. Section 1. The Isle of Calms. Just as the Gulf Stream embraces the Sargasso Sea, into which gradually drift the odds and ends that are carried away by the marine currents into the regions of calm, so does our aerial current surround a region where the air is still. It is called the Isle of Calms. Duration of the story? From Wednesday evening, January 30th, to Good Friday, May 29th, 1918. Pierre plunged into the subway. A feverish, a brutal crowd. On his feet near the door, closely pressed in a bank of human bodies and sharing the heavy atmosphere passing in and out of their mouths, he stared without seeing them at the black and rumbling vaults over which flickered the shining eyes of the train. The same heavy shadows lay in his mind, the same gleams, hard and tremulous. Suffocating in the raised collar of his overcoat, his arms jammed against his sides and his lips compressed, his forehead damp with perspiration momentarily cooled by a current from outside when the door opened, he tried hard not to see, he tried not to breathe, he tried not to live. The heart of this young fellow of 18, still almost a child, was full of dull despair. Above his head, above the shadows of these long vaulted ways, of this rat-run through which the monster of metal whirled, all swarming with human masks, was Paris, the snow, the cold January darkness, the nightmare of life and of death, the war. The war! 4 years ago it was, the war had come to stay. It had weighed heavily on his adolescent years. It had caught him by surprise in that morally critical period when the growing boy, disquieted by the awakening of his feelings, discovers with a shock the existence of blind, bestial, crushing forces in life whose prey he is, and that without having asked to live at all. And if he happens to be delicate in character, tender of heart and frail as to body in the way Pierre was, he experiences a disgust and horror which he does not dare confide to others for all these brutalities, these nastinesses, all this nonsense of fruitful and devouring nature, this breeding sow that gobbles up her litter of pigs. In every growing youth between 16 and 18 there is a bit of the soul of Hamlet. Don't ask him to understand the war. All right for you men who have had your fill. He has all he can do to understand life and forgive its existence. As a rule he digs himself in with his dream and with the arts, until the time comes when he has got used to his incarnation, and the grub has achieved its agonizing passage from larva to winged insect. What a need he has for peace and meditation during these April days so full of the trouble of maturing life! But they come after him to the bottom of his burrow, look him up, drag him from the dark while still so tender in his new-made skin. They toss him into the raw air amongst the hard human race whose follies and hatreds he is expected at the very first moment to accept without understanding them, and, not understanding, to atone for them. Pierre had been called to military service along with those of his own class, boys of 16 to 18. Within 6 months his country would be needing his flesh. The war claimed him. 6 months of respite. 6 months. Oh, if one could only stop thinking at all from this time to that.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?